What's good, people? Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for me. So, man, Cyril Gane beats the brakes off of Alex Pereira. Let's talk about it. I think this is an interesting situation, man. Cyril Gane himself is an interesting fighter, right? Uh, he's big, he's athletic, he's bouncy, he's highly intelligent. He's also someone who is well practiced in the dark arts, right? He's notorious for poking people in the eye. He's notorious for hitting people on the back of the head. But he has like this almost easygoing, fake nice guy energy, right? Like Cyril Gane is the type of dude you meet at a boxing gym or MMA gym, and you guys agreed to do like light sparring or touch sparring, and then right off the bat, he's throwing haymakers, trying to take your head off, trying to knock you out. And you're just like, dude, like, what the hell? I thought we agreed to just do touch sparring, you know? So he kind of gives off that energy, like he seems like a chill dude, a nice guy, but he's definitely got an evil side to him, a dark streak. Um, that being said, I thought the matchup between him and Pereira would be interesting because Alex Pereira has always been considered to be a high-level kickboxer. Like between him, Israel Adesanya, right? These guys who came over from Glory. You're seeing Carlos Olberg, who's a decent fighter as well, trains out of the same gym as Izzy, who's a champ at 205. You know, you see these guys who are elite strikers. They're great with all aspects of striking in MMA. They've mastered kickboxing, Muay Thai, you know. So I thought that Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane would be very interesting, just given that Cyril Gane has this kickboxing background himself, but he never accomplished what Alex Pereira accomplished in the kickboxing world, right? Pereira is a legend in kickboxing. Like Cyril Gane had some low-level Muay Thai fights, switched to MMA, and within a few years was in the UFC. So it's kind of it was an interesting matchup on paper, but the reality just demonstrated that there are levels that your name can't necessarily win fights for you. And when you're dealing with heavyweights, it's a completely different ballgame. And Alex Pereira showed that. And to me, what I don't understand about a lot of these smaller heavyweights, you know, you see it in boxing, you see it in MMA, you see it in kickboxing. Why do guys who are naturally smaller but still big enough to compete with natural super heavyweights, why do they cede the advantage of speed and agility by packing on all the pounds? You know, you saw it when Usyk fought Rico Verhoeven a few weeks ago. He looked fat, he looked slow, he looked lethargic, he looked fatigued. And Usyk is known as like this agile, indefatigable genius, you know, with amazing footwork, you know, the twinkle toe footwork, Ali-esque footwork. You know, you could even say Usyk is more technical than Ali, but against Rico Verhoeven, he looked slow, he was flat-footed, he's trying to sit down on his punches more, and that's not his game, right? His game is speed, it's movement, it's not trying to overwhelm someone with power, but to confuse them and put them in a tumble dryer until their brain is fatigued, and then you can start sitting down on the shots. And I thought that Pereira would do that, but in this case, it seems like Cyril Gane just had the higher ring IQ, right? He had the higher ring IQ, the sharper footwork, like by a mile, right? Pereira looked fat, looked slow. You know, Cyril Gane had the better kicks, right? Alex Pereira is known for having nasty calf kicks, and he wasn't able to capitalize on that advantage because it was nullified by the fact that Cyril Gane is just the more technical striker. And yeah, man, he just beat him up. He just beat him up. He bullied him. Yeah, he did land some shots on the back of that head. We have to be honest about that. Like, there's just too much data out there now for me that I gotta agree with the consensus that Cyril Gane is a dirty fighter. But he ain't the first dirty fighter. Like, at the end of the day, these guys are in the hurt business. And you're gonna do what you gotta do to get the win, right? Like, a lot of fighters that we all love and celebrate have done dirty things, right? John Jones is considered the GOAT, and he's notorious for eye poking guys, right? He's notorious for using below the belt tactics to win a fight, right? So it is what it is on that front. I still don't think, even if the fight was completely clean and Cyril Gane was abiding by all the rules, wasn't practicing any dark arts, wasn't doing any funny business in the ring, I still think he would have knocked Poatan out. He was just naturally bigger, stronger, a better athlete, in better shape, and smarter, right? Like, Alex Pereira didn't just get beat up by a bigger guy. He got outsmarted and outclassed. And that was crazy to see, you know? I mean, that whole card, right? You had Ilia Topuria getting beat up by Justin Gaethje. Like, who saw that coming? I thought Topuria was kind of almost in that Habib territory. Maybe that demonstrates I'm a casual, but I thought he had that kind of potential, and he could still bounce back. I mean, it's only one loss. And that's what I do love about MMA as opposed to boxing, is that MMA fans are far more forgiving when a fighter loses, as opposed to boxing. Like, you lose one or two times in boxing, you're considered a journeyman. You know, MMA fans are way more forgiving. So that's one of the better aspects of the sport. Where does Cyril Gane go from here? He has to rematch Aspinall. He has to rematch Aspinall. To be honest, though, you got to make Cyril Gane the favorite now. I mean, he took down a guy who I would argue on paper has better striking than Tom Aspinall. And I mean, if we go back to the fight with Aspinall, yes, it was a very, very small sample size, small amount of data. It was like half a round. But Cyril Gane was getting the better of it. Like, people will cite statistics like, oh, well, it says that Tom Aspinall actually landed more significant strikes. But that's not how combat sports works, right? It's not just about who lands the most strikes, or in boxing, who lands the most punches. Who wins the round ultimately comes down to who inflicts the most damage on their opponent, you know? And, you know, I'm not a big fan of Max Kellerman, but I do like his approach to scoring rounds. Who would you rather be at the end of the round? You know, I think that is a good way of looking at it. And based on that round, like, yeah, I would definitely have wanted to be in Cyril Gane's position. Again, it's a limited amount of data, to be fair, but I thought that, you know, Cyril Gane showed superior technique, superior footwork. I think he's a better athlete than Tom Aspinall. I think he's faster. I think he just has more of a quick twitch. And I think he has a higher IQ when it comes to striking. Now, if Aspinall gets Cyril Gane on the ground, then all bets are off, right? But I think Cyril Gane has shown improvement in that area as well. And he's only going to get better, right? I mean, when you just look at how he was completely destroyed by John Jones. And now, another winner of this situation, speaking of John Jones, is, you know, the notorious bad boy himself, right? John Jones's legacy is enhanced, right? The guy that he destroyed in like 1 minute just beat up a 2-division champ, right? As a significant underdog. And again, showed that he has the ability to hang with Tom Aspinall. So I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty interesting, right? If I were Dana White, I'd stage that fight in the UK. Like, forget all this Abu Dhabi stuff with these boring crowds where there's no alcohol. Everybody's just kind of quiet and too reserved. Like, nah, take that to the UK. You can have it at the O2 Arena. I would be massive, right? And I'm not the biggest UFC fan, mainly just because of like how rightward the company has shifted, right? And these are the same people that were bitching and complaining about how there was too much politics in sport. And to be fair, they were right, you know? I don't think people have to be inundated with political messages, you know, left or right. But what we're seeing is the UFC has become basically a propaganda arm of the Trump administration, right? I live here in the DC area. You know, you saw the whole setup, you know, at the White House. And, you know, it's really weird, like just the way a lot of these sports leagues are moving today, right? They want to be as exclusive as possible, right? You had the White House event last night here in DC. You had you know, the World Cup, where again here in the United States, where no one except multimillionaires or hardcore fans that are willing to take a second mortgage out on their house can afford to attend the games. You have the NBA finals where nosebleed seats were going for as high as like $7,500. You have the fight against with Usyk and Verhoeven, where it's in, you know, it's in front of the pyramids. It's in Egypt. Again, another exclusive event. I could go on the Times Square card, or even just hiding everything behind a paywall, right? You saw like Tommy Fury's fight against Eddie Hall was on pay-per-view. Like, just, I don't know. It's a weird era we're entering in sports, where it's no longer about entertaining the masses. It's no longer about the common fan. It's really just about making it as exclusive and as elite as possible. And I don't know. It's sad to see, man. It's sad to see. I hope that changes, but you know, I don't think it will. But that being said, I know I went on a bit of a tangent there. I'll definitely check out the fight between Gane and Aspinall. I think it'll be a very interesting build-up. I think from a tactical standpoint, it's going to be very interesting to see how both fighters adjust, especially Tom Aspinall. And I have to also say, I guess I misjudged Tom Aspinall because I did think he was kind of milking it with the whole eye poke situation. But now, kind of learning about the extent of his injuries, I was mistaken in my assessment. Because you just see it all the time in combat sports. You know, a guy's getting turned over and he starts looking for a way out. Oh, he fouled me, he poked me in the eyes. Oh, he punched me in the balls. Like when Amir Khan was getting turned over by Terrence Crawford, instead of taking the L like a man, he milked a low blow and decided to quit, right? So you see guys who use fouls as you know, a tactic to look for a way out, but somehow save face. But I don't think that's the case with Aspinall. I do think it was a legitimate foul and the injuries were significant, but he was getting pieced up. So it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts. Again, it's a small amount of data, to be fair to Tom Aspinall. But I do think he'll have to make some serious adjustments. Gane, he's going to be really confident, right? He's going to know, okay, I know I can hang with Tom Aspinall. He's not invincible. I busted his nose up. And then I just dethroned the top name in the entire UFC, right? The UFC did not want Cyril Gane to win. They wanted Alex Pereira to lay out Cyril Gane and set up a super fight between Poatan and Aspinall. And Cyril Gane just pissed all over those planes and pulled off a massive upset. So it's going to be interesting to see where they move forward. I can't wait for the fight to happen. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Again, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'm out. Peace.